Good morning. I took this all apart yesterday. Okay, so I had the dark brown that was in the kits. I had been like practicing and making sure it didn't like bleed with the stick and stitch. And so anyways, I am gonna be working on the dark brown now. I had to take it apart a little bit yesterday and stitch the edge on it, but should be good to go now. All right, so today we are going to, let me get my list, stitch. We're gonna stitch our door on there and around the curved window. And then depending on what time it is, we're also gonna do the chimney. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna keep using, so yesterday I was using a different brown, but today I'm gonna be using the correct brown. So we're using DMC 433. How many strands is this? We're gonna keep using the 3 strands. So whatever you pulled out yesterday, we're just gonna continue to use that. So I've got my 3 strands there. So yesterday we did a running stitch and a blanket stitch. Today we're just gonna do a back stitch. Super simple, basic. We'll do some funner stitches later. Probably not till next week. Okay, just kidding. We'll do one fun one this week. 2. Okay, we'll do 2. I don't know. All right, so let's do our door first. So I'm just lining it up with the window and then lining it up straight across the bottom. I've been stitching on it, so well, I don't know that you can see the holes. Maybe you can. But we're just gonna stitch it right on top of there. So starting at whatever corner you want, I'm going to start at the bottom right. And we're just going to do like yesterday and come up from the bottom. I've got a knot on the back, and you can do really little stitches or bigger stitches. It's not going to matter too much. We're just getting this tacked down. So I'm kind of planning on like 4 stitches. So here's the middle. So halfway is about there. You could do smaller stitches if you wanted to, but you definitely don't have to. Okay, so with a back stitch, we're gonna go forward a stitch and go down, and then we're gonna come up at the next stitch length and then go down in that same hole. So we're sharing holes with our stitches. You could also, if you need to, get one of your needles and tack this down like we did yesterday. I don't think I need it, but if you do, then do that. Okay, and then we're just gonna continue that the rest of the way. So go about halfway again. And then we're gonna back stitch it into that same hole. Oops, that's a little off. Trying to keep this as straight as we can. Oops, that one was a little bit off. The closer you get to that same hole, the straighter your line's gonna be. Mine's not perfect, but I'm not super worried about it. See if I can get you a little bit closer. There, that's probably better. Okay, and then I kind of try to like map out where my stitches are gonna go. It helps me make them a little bit closer to the same size. So halfway is about there. So if I do there, so yeah, about there for stitches, then I can get an even amount. I might need something to hold this down, actually. Trying to get in the right spot that I want to be in. That'll do. That might be a little bit long for these stitches. You could also do this in white if you wanted to. I don't want to. But you could if you wanted. Or whatever color you're using. I just wanted it to kind of blend in, and then we'll decorate the door another day. How is everyone's blanket stitch going? I'm curious how many people are doing the blanket stitch and how many are doing the running stitch. You could do a running stitch on the door too. If you liked doing that, you could do a running stitch on the door. I've got a knot in the back. Nope, didn't get it. Hold on. It's just twisted. Okay, I think I got it. There we go. But anyways, on the door, you could do a running stitch if you really liked that. If you like the look of it and if you liked stitching it, that would totally be fine on the door as well. Let's see, over a little, there we go. I feel like I keep getting a knot in the back. What is going on here? There is a knot. Okay, got it. All right, halfway. This one I do want to make sure I have the same on the same as the bottom so that it matches. Oh man, see now I'm pulling threads from the fabric. I think that's what I was feeling. Hold on, what's going on back here? I've got this piece of white thread that's I keep grabbing onto. Getting close. I was writing down, trying to decide, because I have like written down what each stitch we're gonna do and like where it's going, but I was trying to decide what order to do them. So I have a tentative plan, but sometimes things don't quite go according to plan. I'm trying to get these to line up so they're very similar. They're not going to be the exact same because I just don't stitch like that, but at least they can be very close. At least the same number of stitches, right? That one was a little bit low. Let's see. I almost didn't do like an extra piece of felt for the door, but then I just thought, just to kind of give it a little bit more detail, I guess. I thought it'd be fun. I've seen some people that have cut out their chimney as well, which you could do if you want to cut out another piece. For the chimney up here. I am not going to. I wanted the chimney to kind of be a little bit in the background, so it'll be a little bit flatter next to the fabric, but if you want to cut out a piece, you can. Dimension, that's the word, thank you. Okay, so there's the door. Where is this light coming from? I'm trying to figure out, hold on. Over here, I think. Nope. 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 I don't know where that light is coming from. That was it. I sit by my window, so hopefully you have some good light. Okay, so we're gonna tie this off. So I'm just gonna grab a piece of stitching that I've done. Go through my loop 2 times, but you have to go through the same way. And then just pull that snug, and then get my tail just twisted through there a couple times. And then we can trim that. My blanket stitch is good. I finished this morning. Are you using 3 strands for the door? Yes. So we're just continuing with the 3 strands that we used with the blanket stitch or the running stitch, and we're just going to continue to use 3 strands. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to back stitch around this as well. Just because, oops, sorry. I'm going to pull this back. Hold on, and then I can zoom in. I keep bumping it. We just don't want that kind of like loose and gaping open. So we're just going to back stitch around it. Just to help keep that looking nice. And then we'll do the inside of the window another day. We're not going to do that today. And then we can move on. We'll have plenty of time to do the chimney today. I just feel like sometimes I don't know. Once I get stitching, sometimes I have a better idea of how long things are going to take, but so this is not quite like to the edge. I still want to give it a little bit of room to, this is a little bit crooked. But still like a little bit of an edge so that you can see that. And when you're doing a curved line with backstitch, you're going to want to do slightly smaller stitches so that it doesn't look as like jagged. So it's a little bit smoother. So keep that in mind. You can do smaller even than I'm doing if you want to. I get a little impatient with stitching very small stitches. I know, it's terrible. But if they're just slightly smaller than usual, then they'll be a little bit more smooth, I guess. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do any. I was trying to think if we'll have any color on there this week. I mean, we'll have white. Let's see. Oh yeah, tomorrow we're gonna stitch some green. I was trying to remember what I wrote down. We'll do some green tomorrow, so it won't be so brown and white, but it won't be a lot of green. It'll just be a little bit. We're gonna do our, after we get this, we're gonna get our stick and stitch on there. I just wanted to kind of get the base of this down before we put something over the top. And then we'll be good to go. Okay, so I have a knot right here. So I'm just trying to be careful that I don't try and come up in that knot. It makes it a little bit more difficult, so. Okay. There we go for that. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna grab a piece of thread, go through my loop 2 times, and then just get my tail in there. Okay. And there we are. All right, now we are going to do our stick and stitch. If you want to have a piece of felt for the chimney, I would just like cut this space out in your felt and put it on there. It's not going to matter too much like where it is. If it's like a little bit higher or a little bit lower, it's not going to be a big deal. So don't like get stressed about it. This is slightly smaller than I apparently didn't cut this super smoothly. So I would rather it be down a little bit. So I'm going to line mine up here. Well, maybe I'll do it kind of in the middle. I didn't cut super straight. Okay, so with the stick and stitch, we're just going to peel this off if I can. Maybe. There we go. So it's just like a sticker. This is garbage. And this will stick on. Try to not like put it on and take it off and put it on and take it off. We want to make, oh, I forgot. I would rather line it up with the windows. So line it up as close as you can with the windows because we're going to stitch around them with the stick and stitch on there. Okay. Oh, I bumped you. Sorry, you didn't see any of that. Sorry about that. I just lined up my windows as closely as I could because we're going to stitch the edging with the stick and stitch. So that's more important than anything else. I'm less worried about this and less worried about this. So, okay, let's do our brick stitch first. We're going to use, are we supposed to outline the 2 rectangle windows before putting that on? No. No, that's fine. We're going to do it. That's why you want it to line up with your stick and stitch. Like have this line up as closely as possible because we're going to stitch over the top. We're just doing just the door and the window, the curved window. Okay, I'm going to use all 6 strands for my brick stitch. 6 strands is a little bit harder to get in your needle. If you're struggling to get all 6 strands in your needle, you could do 3 strands and then fold it over and tie the 2 ends together because then you have 3 in each piece of the thread. And so when it's doubled over, you've got 6. If you can get 6 in your needle, then you can do 6 and just tie it at the bottom. Does that make sense? Whatever is easier. All right. Now this will be a little bit non-traditional brick stitch because we're actually stitching bricks. So normally with brick stitch, you just do 1 stitch this way and then 1 this way and 1 this way and 1 this way. But we're going to do a couple of stitches for each brick. So it's not quite a brick stitch, but maybe more of like a modified brick stitch. But we're gonna stitch, I'm just gonna go off the edge a little bit. Like I'm not gonna stitch into that black line. I'm gonna go just next to it because it'll be a little bit easier. Maybe we'll start, I wonder if it'll be easier to start in the middle. Okay, so I'm not gonna stitch, we're gonna stitch white like on the lines. So kind of come up just a tiny bit. You see how I'm gonna stitch like right there? And then I'll stitch all the way to the line. And then we'll do that again and see if we need 2 or 3 stitches here. Now, if you want to use fewer threads, you could. You would just need to do more stitches. So if you use like 3 strands instead of 6 strands, then you'll just have to do like 3 or 4 stitches or 4 or 5 stitches. Where with 6 strands, you won't need quite as many. I'm gonna do 3. Okay, so there's 1 brick. I'm going to come back down and do these ones. So I am going to leave just a little bit of a space right here. So instead of coming up like right at that line, I'm going to come down just a little bit like I did with the brick above it. Stitch right into that line. The vertical lines will be fine to, we can stitch over the top. So now with a brick stitch, you're stitching like this brick should go halfway on this one, like a brick. So normally with a brick stitch, you would stitch just 1 this way, 1, and then 1 shorter, and then this one would be longer again. But we're stitching actual bricks and they need to be thicker than that. So I guess this is more of a satin stitch in a brick pattern. And I know you can't see that gap really, but it's there. And my tail is right there. Just a little bit of a gap. Okay, I'm gonna go over just a little bit past this line because that's where our roof is gonna cover right here. We're gonna stitch that white piece of felt right here. So it'll cover up some of this. But just to be sure it's like full coverage, I'm just going to cross that line just a little bit, just because I want to make sure it gets good coverage. And then I don't know if we'll need 1 more. No, that should cover it. We should be fine. Sorry, I keep bumping this. All right, so I'm gonna come back up here. I like stitching right to left when I'm doing satin stitch. If you're left-handed, it might be easier to go left to right. I'll go left to right next when I do the other side of the bricks. And I'm doing 3 stitches for each brick. What time is it? 10:20. We're making good time. One more. Yeah, I'm saying this is more of a satin stitch than a brick stitch. So with satin stitch, making sure you're going up and down, like that this line is straight is gonna make everything look a little bit better. I'm not quite as straight as I would be. If you're struggling though, try doing it the opposite way where I'm stitching from right to left. Sometimes it's easier if you just switch directions. So try going left to right instead, which is what I'm gonna do right now. Do I wanna start at the top? Yeah, I do. I also like to, if I'm stitching into the same hole that I've already used, I like to go down in that hole versus up. I feel like it keeps my stitches looking a little bit nicer. So like instead of coming up right here, because I feel like it like is gonna split the threads right here. So instead of doing that, I'll go down in that same hole versus up. You could go up in it, but I feel like it's just not quite as, gosh, that white is so annoying. Oh, it's like in between my shutters. Hold on. I keep trying to block it with my head, but it's just not working. And don't worry, if these lines are not super clean, we're covering them up anyways with like the mortar. So it's not gonna like be the end of the world. And then I'm gonna do this one up at the top too. I really wanna flip my hoop around. It is really weird to go left to right for me. Normally I would flip my hoop so it's the other way. But I'm not going to. If you are doing felt, don't stitch like this. Don't, if you've got felt there, then you can just do the outline of the mortar when we do that next. So I forgot to mention, you do not need to do this if you've got felt there because you've already got the color. Love your needle minder. Oh, thanks. It's Luke's. I got it from Beck's Stitches. And it is such a strong magnet. It's like, oh gosh, sorry. It's like one of the best needle minders I own. It is so strong. I don't have any like Christmas ones. I feel like I probably should get like some Christmas needle minders. Or at least one. But I don't have any. So I thought fall, cup of coffee from Luke's sounds about right. So I like my needle minders to match my project. But anyways, one of these days I'll have to get me a Christmas needle minder so that I can, oh my gosh, why am I struggling with this camera today? Not that there's much to see. We're almost done with our bricks and then we can do the mortar and then I'll let you go. All right. So same with this part. We're just gonna make sure that we like cover up that line a little bit just to make sure that our white felt will cover it. Okay. There. All right. We are going to tie off the brown and then we'll get our white thread out. The first of the white. Oh my gosh. I don't think I have white over here. Hang on, I gotta go get white at my desk. All right. So I'm gonna go back to the 3 strands. So I'm just gonna grab that. You could probably do all 6 if you wanted to, but I don't want to. I think I'm gonna take this out of the hoop stand for a minute because we're gonna do some weaving and it's a little bit harder to do in a hoop stand. Okay. All right. That was not a double knot. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stitch the horizontal lines first. So we're just gonna go in between these two. Okay, hold on. And we're just gonna go straight across. We're gonna do all the horizontal lines first. How many strands of white? Sorry, I missed it. It's 3. So you could do 6 if you wanted it. I just don't want it quite that thick. I want it a little bit more subtle. So I went with 3. But if you wanted to use 4 or 6, you totally can. Or whatever. 1 if you want it like super subtle. So then pay attention to, we've got 1, 2, 3. So this one is going to go down right there. I didn't leave a very big spot there. So this is how I do my brick stitch when I'm doing houses too. I do all of the horizontal lines. Oh my gosh, I think it's my hoop stand. I think it's my phone stand. It keeps like turning, like it's too heavy or something. I might need a new one. Because it's like slowly changing position. Okay. So now that we have our horizontal lines, we're going to do our vertical lines. So I'm going to come up at the top. And we're going to weave. We're going to go under this first one and go under those brown stitches. And then we're going to pop up over this white one. So we're under the brown and over the white. Then we're going to do the same thing, under the white and brown, and then over. So we're over, under, over, under. Oh wait, or opposite. Under, over, under, over. And then we'll go down to the bottom of the fabric. Was that confusing or what? I have got to get a new phone stand. That is going to drive me crazy. Okay, and then we're going to come up right here. So we're still coming back up to the top. And we're going to go under that brown. Now this one we went under, so this one we have to go over. Dang it! This phone stand is bugging. Okay. We're going to go under that. And I kind of like slide my needle around like this. And I'm pushing from the back with my finger. Now, if this is frustrating you, you do not have to weave it. You could just stitch straight lines. This is easier when I'm not on a camera with people watching me. But you could just do like stitch from here to here and just be done. I like weaving it because I think it makes it look a little bit cleaner. And I'm used to it, so it's easy for me to do. But if it is like way too hard for you, then you could just do like this and just stitch and go down here. And then come up here. and go down. So whatever way is going to be easier for you. Okay. I like it this way because it like holds these stitches down, these horizontal ones, but I mean, it doesn't really look that different. So whatever you want to do, whichever is easier for you. It's easier when you're not having people watch you. So, all right. And that's all we're going to do today. So that's where we're at. Tomorrow we'll do, the wreath and the swirls. We'll work up here tomorrow. Okay. So let me know if you have questions, and yeah, I'll be around. I want to see your progress. So if you've got progress, feel free to message me or tag me in your stories and I'll share it. Okay. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'm going to see if I can find a new phone holder, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.